The Books That Shaped Me is proudly sponsored by WinStar Insurance Group right out of Cedar Park, Texas. Owned and operated by Stephanie Dew, my dear friend. Early on in her career, she knew what it was like to feel undervalued. And she vowed that if she ever had an opportunity to be in leadership, she was going to do it different. And she does. She values each of her employees and her clients with the utmost integrity and respect and kindness that you'd ever imagine. So they've got a specialty in their business. They take care of first responders. They've got wineries, breweries, childcare facilities, and the employees themselves are so excited to be there. And they talk about how they haven't felt valued anywhere else like they do there. So it's hats off to Stephanie and WinStar Insurance Group because our values align with faith, trust, and authenticity. Thank you, Stephanie, from the bottom of my heart and those of us that hang out with the books that shaped me. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Books That Shaped Me with Angie Smith. This is episode 10, and it's our last episode in the first season. So thank you so much, Vidya, for joining me for this conversation.
It's awesome to be here, Angie. Thank you for having me.
Well, I feel like we're putting a crown jewel at the end of the season with you, Vidya, and you look like a ruby, which is my birthstone, so I'll take it.
Oh, I'm glad I dressed right.
But Vidya
but
has
thank you.
been, yes, of course. She has been such a leader, and you've had such an impression on my life, Vidya. From the first time I had an opportunity to see you kind of in a leadership position on a stage, inviting women to connection and strategic leadership and empowering us from so many different verticals. And you show up in an accessible way with Austin Businesswoman as you align with SCORE. And I just want to give you an opportunity today to tell the world your story. I know you have a platform of your own, but for you to spend time with me and this audience that we're cultivating is very special to me. So with that, Miss Vidya, I welcome you.
Oh, thank you, Angie. And thank you for the incredible work that you're doing that helps amplify so many voices and efforts that really need to be recognized and be more visible. So my story in Austin, working in Austin is now coming up on 4 years. Yay.
Yay.
And I think I have actually a work anniversary coming up, but in just a couple of months, which is the time that I started with Austin Businesswoman. But my story is really simple. I'm a number and words girl. I have an MBA in finance and I have a master's in public relations, and that was my background. When I was in Detroit, I was the head of client services for North America for a business group called the Bassett Business Group in Detroit. And then in 2009, they moved me over to Asia to manage the Asia Pacific region. And I moved to Austin in 2021. When I came here, Angie, one of the things that I did not want to do is to set up a business in a community where I didn't know anyone. I wanted to understand who lived in Austin, who drives Austin, and how do people think, feel, process messages and images. And so literally, because I knew virtually no one in Austin, I just made it a point to set up coffees, and I had a pretty aggressive coffee schedule, but I haven't stopped till date. So I've been blessed to learn about Austin, to identify organizations that are doing incredible work in different spaces. I've served on multiple boards. But the one thing that called out to me specifically, Angie, was to help women business owners. And I was the head of the advisory council for Austin Businesswoman in 2022. And it was founded by Olga Adler, a remarkable professional and human, in 2018. So we're coming up on year 7. And year 7, year 8, sorry. And in 2024, she wanted to pivot, and she asked me if I wanted to take over as president, which I did. And one of the greatest honors of my life, to be able to help women, connect them with more resources, give them access to power groups and restricted circles, to give them a pathway to access capital, to penetrate newer markets, to give them the connections they need to make more money, and to be a little bit more unabashed about the use of the word money when it comes to women in business, and just give them a marketing platform that gives them more visibility, but that comes at an affordable price,
Mm.
which is not, thousands of dollars. And so that's what we try to do, is pack in not just effectiveness, but also economic efficiency in the per dollar return of their investment.
Wow. That's beautiful. And your passion, I can feel it, right? You've been able to articulate your trajectory from Detroit to Austin to stepping into that leadership role and continuing to open the platform for those of us who are coming up alongside of you. What's the beginning of your passion story, if I may? Like, what is it that from the beginning, like, did you know, you said you're a numbers and words girl from when you were navigating your childhood and you made it to college? Did you know? Did you decide? Did you discover? How did you land on what your passion is?
Well, I think, along with life experiences, some are fortunate to know their passion very early in life. You decide sometimes you want to be an actor when you're in fourth grade and you become a great one. I don't think I was fortunate to discover that so early, but
Mm.
I do believe that um, it's a culmination of several decades of work across several continents. And I think that the challenges that are specific to women um, are not unique to Austin or to Texas, right? Now, this is a circle that circumvents the earth. And something that I see is, I was born and raised in an alternate value system because I was raised at another time in India, in a very simple Southern Indian family. And it was all about family and faith for us when we were growing up. And we had everything we needed, but it was barely what we needed. And weren't born, I wasn't born into privilege of, by any means. Um, Education was always front and center. Um, my parents were so passionate about education, Angie, that Vidya actually means education.
I love that.
It means education, means knowledge. And what I discovered was that having done all of this work and having studied when I was younger, it put me in a position of privilege, right? With the ability to um, really be able to think solution oriented products and conversations and customer centricity. It teaches you how to strategize. It teaches you the number game. And was always surrounded by women who had really become more than they should have been. Yeah.
Mm. Mm.
And I was inspired by them, by my grandmother, by my mother, by my mother-in-law. And they are phenomenal women. And so when I came to Austin, and I think as you start moving through the last decade or two of your working life, um, you do want to find a line of work that allows you to leave a legacy.
Mhm.
You do want to find a line of work, or I wanted to find a line of work that allows me to leave an example behind for both my daughters.
Mm.
And um, the connections that I made over those coffees, over those networking events with several women are real, Angie.
Yeah.
They mean a lot to me. They make Austin home to me. Those women are so powerful, and I'm filled with a deep sense of respect. So I think by the triangulation of my childhood experience and growing up in societies where there was a lot of gender disparity, um, education and work experience, and then coming to Austin and meeting all of these women, I think it was that triangulation that automatically birthed my purpose, which is what
Oh,
drives me every day.
I love it. So your name means education.
Yes, it does.
You were positioned for such an opportunity, even though financially your family didn't have all the resources available. But this key to unlock opportunity and future was crowned on you from the moment you took that first breath.
Oh, that's a pretty glorious way of saying that. But
And then you navigate and you're living it and you're doing it. And I love that you brought in your daughters as well, because I think that for a lot of us, you mentioned the latter portion of a career, but I think as our lives as well, our legacy, what are we leaving behind? And of course, our kiddos are that first answer. And so I've had an opportunity to meet your daughters before in various events, and just to see how they show up with curiosity, intelligence, and class. So I just want to say thank you for bringing up the leadership in your own daughters as well. And then, of course, the community that you have many, many coffee dates. I don't want to say blood, sweat, and tears, but the investment of the coffee and the tea and all the things knit us together. It's a glue, it's a fabric.
Well, thank you so much, Angie. There are very few words that beat a compliment to your children, and it makes me feel like it's very rewarding to know. Perhaps over the decades that I've raised them, I've perhaps might have done something right. But you're right about when you say you want to be conscious about what you're leaving behind. You want to leave things behind in a way that's in some way better than how you found it, right?
That's right. That's right. I love that. And just that education component. I mean, I'm just not through with it because you've lived it from the day one through your education. When you said you're a numbers and a words girl, I love that you get to be both, because a lot of us sometimes are just words people. I'm a word person. I like numbers, but I don't call myself a numbers person. But for you to get to be both, I think sets you up for success to navigate. You landed in a new place. You did the connection with the words and the people, and then you were able to see and assess the environment and then to move to the next level. You've just been able to factor it both. And so I just feel like that's a skill set that you've honed and we're all benefiting from.
Yeah, I think there's a saying, Angie, is sometimes we have to think about, why do you want to climb the mountain?
Mm.
Do you want to climb the mountain to be seen, or do you want to climb the mountain to be able to see further?
Mm.
And my experience, and I still believe I'm somewhere stuck in the middle of the mountain, and I'm trying every day to make the next step. But I think I have been propelled onto each step
Mm.
by the women around me. And I've tried to um, roll out the bridge in return for pretty much every woman I meet. And I try to keep it as non-transactional as possible,
Yes.
uh, because the sentiment that you leave behind after the contract ends outlasts you,
Indeed.
and it outlasts the contract life.
Indeed.
And therefore, um, and coming from the Eastern world, I think that contributes to my karma. So I try to be conscious of that.
Yeah.
You do want to have good karma. And maybe I'm always cognizant of the fact that I've been pushed by other women onto the next step,
Mm.
and by another one onto the next step ahead. And we all do have that collective responsibility to propel each other, right? And
Indeed.
and that's what I think keeps me going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We, as a network of women, we're encouraging each other. And I like to share, I had an opportunity to do a triathlon with a friend of mine. She said,
Awesome.
you can do it. And I was like, oh gosh, I've never done anything at that level before. But it's a little bit of positive peer pressure, right? I was there with her. We were doing the training. And when I would see her make it to the top of the hill on the bike or that next lap, I was like, she can do it. I can do it. And it was a positive peer pressure, right? To encourage each other along.
Yes, and I think that it's those positive experiences that allow you to navigate storms as well,
Mm.
and see how remarkably well you're doing yourself, and how many different balls you're juggling, and how beautifully you've dealt with the challenges in life that all of us face. And oftentimes, the paths are not similar.
Mm.
You could be a tech person in one life and be a podcaster in another.
Yes, you
And
could.
I know you could, Angie. So, and you do a beautiful job of that. Um, so I think that speaks to um, how much the power of those you surround yourself with impact you. Right?
Agreed. Agreed.
Yeah.
And the beauty and diversity, right? So we've got some commonalities. It's like a Venn diagram. We've got some that are the same and some that are different, but we just keep connecting and growing together.
Yeah, and I love those differences. And in all my interactions, I think with professionals across the world, I can tell you for sure that we're all more similar than we are different.
Mm.
I think the differences um, are almost always quite superficial.
Yeah.
And the deeper you go, the more the similarity strikes you in the face.
That's very well said, Vidya. Thank you. I feel like in such a climatized environment that we live in, finding a way to navigate when we've got those superficial differences. If we can learn to listen deeper, then we can still find connection.
So beautifully said, Angie. I think listening is such a skill, and active listening, in particular, I think um, is a learned skill, right? You almost have to train yourself cognitively. It's a process to be able to become a good listener, to be able to interpret messages in the way that they were intended, and really being able to articulate. Um, a response sometimes, all of us are, articulating our responses while the other person is still communicating. So it's a matter of shutting down, I think, all the tabs inside our heads when you're listening. And I think there is a significant element of generosity and empathy that you need
Mhm.
in order to be open minded enough to let people say their own truth and their own reality in a way that they want to say it,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
interpret it with respect and just for the other person's experience, regardless of the fact of whether you understand it or not.
Exactly. And if I don't understand it, it's not my job to convince you, change your mind, to come to my side of thinking, but just to honor it. And that's the power of art in general, right? Art is what it is, and we all look at it and receive and perceive something different, and we can let it be and respect that space that's created with that opportunity.
Oh, absolutely. I think creativity itself, and you called it art. I think is a significant element of communication, right? And I know that you're all about alignment and purpose as well, and you know this for a fact that the better and the more real and genuine your communication is, um, the more you will not need quantity.
Mm.
So you don't have to yak on the phone for half an hour with someone every other day
Mhm.
to have that solid relationship. And there are women now here in Austin that I haven't spoken to perhaps for 6 months, but I cross my heart. They're like a sister to me.
That's right. And when you see them, you pick right back up where you left off.
Oh, obviously. Obviously.
I
Yeah.
because like you said, quality over quantity.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, Vidya, are there any books that you can think of that as you've navigated your way around the globe and here that come top of mind that have had an influence that you might want to share with us today?
Um, I'd like to talk about the first book is there's one fiction and one nonfiction book. Is that okay?
Oh, please bring it.
Okay, so I know the nonfiction book is extremely common and everybody's read it, but honestly, it transformed my life because it gave me an incremental way to better yourself. And it's James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, and I don't know, but I turned to that book so many times, even though it's probably so popular. But I think it's popular because it's valuable,
Indeed.
and I think what it encourages you to do is it encourages you to strive to accomplish the highest levels of intelligence a human can have.
Mm.
It's not there in the book, but um, there is a term called metacognition that's thrown around. And there is human intelligence and there is artificial intelligence. And when you talk about the different kinds of human intelligence, you have visual intelligence or social intelligence and emotional intelligence and scientific intelligence. Um, However, one of the highest forms of human intelligence, or the highest form of human intelligence, is supposed to be metacognition. And metacognition is your ability to be objective and subjective and critically analyze the thoughts that you're having. So it's your ability, Angie, to step out of Angie's head and look at what Angie's thinking about
Mm.
and analyze your thoughts and try to improve the quality of thought because that determines in an indirect way your destiny. And so I think that was what I was trying to do, is to improve the quality of thought inside my head. And within that, I think Atomic Habits was a book that encouraged me to get just 1% better every day
Every day.
in everything.
Mhm.
So if you're able to do, 12 push-ups, try 13.
Mhm.
And if you are able to, um, let's say, multitask and accomplish X number of tasks, just try to do incrementally more.
Mhm.
And that book gave me a solid path to say that profound changes always begin in the most minute of habits.
Mm.
And that's the only way that we can all transform our life, is by tweaking one small thing,
Yeah.
one small aspect.
It's the definition of a growth mindset.
Yes, it is.
That's exactly what you connected all the dots from the book who gave us the how to where we're really going with the metacognition. And it's just, you've connected them for us so we can understand that when we read a book like Atomic Habits, when we apply the principles to our life, we're literally every single day one more step, one more incremental, and it's changing the way their neuroplasticity, right? The synapses in the brain, and we're opening up newness where we
Yeah,
didn't have before because of that
absolutely.
growth mindset.
Yes, and neural connections can be formed in a variety of ways. I know there are certain dietary, aspects that can improve neural connections. There are conversations that can improve neural connections, and just experiences of the senses that can improve your neural connections. Certainly, meditation is one of them as well. But and that helps us, I think, as we age as well, in very deep ways. Um, and I just felt like it was able to bring about behavioral changes that resulted in a change in your reality by being conscious of what you're thinking and what you're doing, and breaking that down into doable steps.
Mhm.
And it's not like one, huge intimidating change
Right.
that says, oh, I have to go and take part in a triathlon like Angie. I don't have to do that. I just have to do 13 push-ups
There you
instead of
go.
2,
The next
instead of
right
12.
step. There we go. You did it.
That's what that book gave me.
I love that. I love that. Well, that is, again, practical, applicable, beautiful. It's accessible. Like, let's get that book. Let's read that book. Let's do that
Yeah.
thing. I did have an opportunity to read that book. And I remember at the beginning, he was in an accident and he was hurt.
Yeah, right.
And
He
it was
was.
because of that opportunity to do physical therapy, which hurt real bad. But he made that commitment and that dedication to do that next increment.
Yes. And sometimes I think it takes a tragedy like that, or a challenge like that, to encourage us to do better for ourselves. And I think that, perhaps that's why we all dealt challenges.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think, there's a saying, isn't it? If you're buried, maybe you need to sprout.
I like that one. I was going to offer that God is more concerned with our character than our comfort.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that.
Both of them, right? Like, yeah, it's a
Yeah.
different perspective on things are real tough, things are real dark. What am I going to do with that? I'm going to keep growing.
That's beautiful. I will take that back with me.
All right.
Character, not comfort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Miss Vidya, do you have a second book?
Yes, I do. My second book is a fictional book. Um, and it's a book called The Thousand Splendid Suns. And I don't know if you've had a chance to read it. And it's by Khalid Hosseini, and he's just a phenomenal writer. Um, and the book is actually set in Afghanistan. And long story short, it's about a man who marries the love of his life, and they both have many children. And it's a society that's deeply unequal when it comes to gender roles. And with time, the man gets bored of his wife and takes on a much younger and prettier wife. And the older wife is shattered. And while the man is in some ways abusive to the older wife, he dotes on the younger wife initially, but then there comes a point few years down the line when he is not super nice to her either. And that's when this young girl who was initially bathing in all of the attention from her new husband and and quite happy with the fact that she was getting all of this attention, she teams up with the other wife and they escape that life. And they're there
Mm.
for each other. And they develop this very special bond
Mm.
of sisterhood. And it spoke to me. There are lines in that book that are so powerful, that are so simply written.
Mm.
And I'm gonna. Can I say this in about wordsmithing because we're talking about books? Um, Angie, when I was really young, it was my father who taught me the importance of mastering a language, and to him, it was always usage, not vocabulary, because he
Mm.
said that when you use difficult words, chances are people will not understand it. But if you use simple words in creative ways, you become very powerful. And I think I was in the sixth or seventh grade, and it was the summer. I was in my grandparents' house, and my father would write letters to me over the summer. And this was how his letter started. And I know you're a good writer yourself, so you might appreciate it. And his first line in his letter was, "Your beautiful letter came to me," because I had written to him. "Your beautiful letter in beautiful writing came to me on an evening that was therefore beautiful."
Mm. Mm.
And I think that's what Khalid Hosseini has,
Mm.
because there is a line in this book that is so powerful, which just says, "For you, comma, 1,000 times over."
Mm.
And when you function in gratitude and when you think about the people in your life that you think you're doing things for your kids, for your partner, for your team, or whatever, they mean so much to you that you'd look at them and say, "Yeah, honey, for you 1,000 times over."
Mm.
And it's the journey of these two women that is so profound, that is so triumphant in utter ruin and despair and
Yeah.
inequality and injustice. And it's the winning of their spirits um, that champions, I think, something inside all of us, the need
Yes.
to win over evil and
Yes.
wrong.
Yes.
And I love that book.
I love it. That's awesome. Thank you for um, giving just a colorful recap of the story. It makes me want to go out and read the
You
thing.
should.
I
You
should.
should.
As you were sharing, I was reminded of a book, The Lion Women of Tehran. Have you
Mhm.
heard of that one?
No, I have not.
It's not exactly the same story, but it's a similar oppressed women and their experience and their navigating and coming together. So a little bit of a theme.
Oh,
Yeah.
lovely,
Yeah.
lovely. But I do want to say that off late, there's so many books that I read reviews of that I wish I found the time to, do, let's say, 2 books a week,
Right.
but I just don't have the bandwidth to be able to do that. And there've been apps or, just AI that has helped me capture the essence of some of these
Yeah.
books. And I think that that is becoming a more practical way of reading these books for me now.
Mhm.
And maybe maybe it's called cheating.
I don't
But
think so. I don't think so. I mean, it would be nice, like you said, if we did have more time to savor and read each and every word. In a recent discussion on the podcast, someone was having like kind of some shame about listening to the book, and I'm a big audio listener, so I feel like however we can consume the data is the important part.
absolutely, absolutely. And you do want to cover as many authors as possible with as many diverse socio-political and economic
Yes.
opinions as possible,
Yes.
because I've often found that that's what really broadens your thought process, which is my whole objective of reading anything.
I love it. I love it. Well, and it matches back to your metacognition, statement about thinking about what we think about, and really looking at it from different angles, the idea, the concept. And if we're getting different voices, whether it's the people we talk to, the books that we read, the news sources that we consume, we want to have diversity so we can distill it down and what resonates for me.
No doubt. No doubt.
Yeah.
I absolutely think that is, being able to walk away with a book with implementable pieces of knowledge, and usable information is so valuable.
Mhm.
And that's the whole purpose. And sometimes it's just pure entertainment. And it takes,
That's right.
you just disappear into another world, takes you away from your own life for an
Mhm.
hour or two,
Gives you
which
a
is what,
recharge.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the whole idea.
Well, Vidya, this is such a beautiful conversation. I feel like you shared so much insight and wisdom with us. Before I ask you my last question, which is, what are you up to and how can people connect with you? Well, my second to last question, we're on social media and I see your speaker note, your keynote of the Lion in the Jungle. Can we have just a little snippet of the heartbeat of your message that you share when you're given an opportunity to give that keynote?
Um,
Sorry
I
to put you on the
appreciate the
spot.
opportunity. No, I appreciate the opportunity to talk about something that's so close to my heart. I think because of my work with so many different people across the planet, different kinds of people, my deep interest in socio-political trends across the planet, I see myself as a product of both the Eastern and the Western worlds. I've studied in both. I have run businesses in both. I've served clients in both. I have raised kids in both worlds. Um, I think sometimes the there is a need to understand how changes globally impact our day to day existence. And I know when you talk about or think about things like, either wars or immigration policies or tariffs, or just the economic power and intentions of other countries, when you look at the uncertain power of our own currency, when you talk about an evolving global order, um, when you talk about hidden motives and the international chess game, is is there a connection between that and a business here in Austin, Texas, and let's say a a lash lounge in Austin, Texas, or a nail salon or a tech startup here? Is there a connection? And there is, and it's very easy to make the connection because the dots are actually in a straight line. Um, and I'm motivated to do my part to reduce the unreal level of divisiveness and polarization in our community. So I truly attempt to rise above the red and the blue divide. And I implore to the human side of all of us as professionals, as parents, as seekers of financial security and good health to understand what's really happening and why it's happening. Um, and I don't have a political opinion when I'm speaking. All I have is factual information. And I think that the way that the nation responds to this evolving global landscape um, is the reason for the title, which is
Mm,
why it's called The Lion in a Changing Jungle,
mm,
because undoubtedly America is the lion
mm,
and the jungle around us is changing.
mm.
So it talks about how the lion is responding to that changing jungle and how, at a granular level, that impacts your life, your business, your kid's life, and everything else.
Yeah, I haven't had the opportunity to hear the full keynote. So
Okay.
thank you so much. I've seen the snippets and I've seen just again the takeaway, but that's such a powerful position, Vidya. Thank you for saying yes to putting yourself in a position to share the message, to make it accessible and palatable for, like you said, somebody here, Austin, Taylor, Georgetown, wherever we are, but maybe I'm not as proficient or experienced to see those connected dots. So thank you for bringing it so I can I can understand that.
I really hope, that you and I can grab a coffee and talk about it, or you can listen to me deliver that talk somewhere. But these are very complicated concepts when you talk about, global trade routes or supply chains or the power of the petrodollar, and what's the reason behind the power of the United States dollar, and what is really, impacting that, the uncertainty or the concentration of wealth in a few hands, and what that does in the long run to societies. And are manufacturing jobs just the same as service jobs? And if not, why not? Uh, and to understand why, the demographic of your population, when it comes to, even the age demographic, how many old people you have, or how many kids do you have in your country, and how that impacts um, and economic sustainable excellence is all so deep, and it's really complex. So I really try to simplify it with the intention of um, bringing people together through education.
Yeah. Back to education.
There you go.
Bringing it all home. Such a lovely discussion, Vidya. You're such a versed person in so many areas. I feel like I've grown myself. I know the audience who's listening has learned some things in this conversation as well. If they want to connect with you, how can folks get in touch with you, Vidya?
Vidya Moorthy on LinkedIn. That's probably the easiest way. And it's once you connect with me on LinkedIn, my website is austinbusinesswoman.com for the group. And if you wanted to reach out to me via email, it's vidya@vidyamoorthy.com. So that's just as simple as that. I would like to say that Austin Businesswoman, being Austin's largest group of women entrepreneurs, we host an annual awards gala. And last year, Angie, we were so fortunate to have received 160 nominations. And so we're shooting for 161 now.
Because that atomic growth.
That's
just
right.
Incrementally, just that next one.
Exactly.
Let's do it.
That's all it's about.
And we're allowed to nominate ourselves?
Of course. And you don't have to be a member. There's no cost involved. It's a simple click. I just really encourage women business owners to nominate themselves or other women in business that they know.
Yeah.
We do have, even the finalists, not just the winners, all the finalists get a fair amount of visibility. And it's just beautiful to see how the Austin small business ecosystem comes together to celebrate them. And hey, you know what? If you're a woman who's been just putting her head down and working for the past several months, you've accomplished 1, 2, 3 milestones, whether they're financial or whether they're having a positive impact on your community. Just go on our website, nominate yourself, tell us your story, because all we want to do is make that story louder.
That's right. Amplify.
Yeah.
Amplify. In a recent conversation, I was thinking about, this is a little rudimentary, but like when two people are jumping on a trampoline and if you can kind of sync up, then we would call it like a double bounce. I'll go down and you go twice as high.
Yes.
And I feel like that's what we're doing with our network. Exactly here. We're amplifying each other.
Yes. What a beautiful analogy. Absolutely.
Well, Vidya, it's been such a pleasure, such an honor. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for the work that you do, both from a global perspective and right here in Austin. You have touched my heart. You inspire me. And I just want to say thank you one last time. Thank you.
You are so welcome, Angie. It's a delight to know you. What you're doing is remarkable. And I wish that you just get the different kinds of power you need to accelerate on the path that you're on. Thank you so much for having me. I never take a few minutes in front of a mic lightly. I think it's a blessing and a privilege. And this time the credit all goes to you. So thank you for that.
And to you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us for this conversation of the books that shape me. We hope you have a blessed and beautiful day.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in for another conversation. These conversations are aimed at empowering, educating, and just enlifting each of us up in our journey on life. I am always open to connecting with you as a potential guest or as a sponsorship opportunity. And there's ways to connect with me on my website, angiesmithsummitconsulting.com. You can book some time with me. We can chat, we can explore, and maybe we can go on the next leg of our journey together, which might even involve some life coaching. I'm here to connect, I'm here to grow, and I'm here for you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I look forward to chatting and visiting again soon. Thank you.